Hi everyone, I'm April and you're watching the Tangled Cat Speaks. I can be found on Instagram and Twitter and Ravelry as the Tangled Cat. I know sometimes I forget to tell you, but I am a 911 operator by profession. I am here in New Mexico. I live in a town called Rio Rancho, which is just to the north and west of Albuquerque. Speaking of my job, I am a 911 dispatcher operator. I have been doing that for coming up on 25 years, which means that I am eligible to retire coming in August. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm excited and I really am ready to start a new chapter in my life and retire, collect a retirement check, and still have another job to, add a little bit more to my, to pad my income. I think that my retirement will actually cover a lot of the basics that I need to survive, but, I still want to have fun. I still want to not be, living from penny to penny. So I will have to work after I retire from this job. And I don't know how soon after August that I'll get another job. But it's nice to know that I can go and find something and then put in a 2-week notice and boom, everything kicks in. I'm going to get my retirement, yada, yada, yada. So it's a little exciting on that respect. But it's also very scary because I have been doing this for more than half my life. When I become eligible to retire, I'll be 47. And like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years. It's a long time, more than half my life. So I don't know anything else. And I know that there are so many skills within being a 911 operator and dispatcher that I can transfer to another job. But I'm scared. I am so scared because, one, I don't have a resume. I have never had to have a resume. When I applied for jobs back 8,000 years ago, you only needed to fill out one application form for that company and all the questions they needed were right there. And then you went in for an interview and boom, you got a job. Now everywhere expects you to have this resume and it needs to be updated regularly and it has to be this, that, and the other thing, and you have to sell yourself. I don't know how to do that. I mean, that's the whole reason why I work behind a phone, so that I don't have to sell myself. I'm there to do my job. I have my expertise. I'm going to roll with it. I am terrified to have to go and interview again. Is anybody going to want to hire me at my age? And I'm sure people are going to say, oh yeah, you're going to get hired. I mean, people are already telling me that because I'm not shy about, being afraid to go out into the big bad world. But, really, are they going to want to hire me as compared, to somebody who's much younger and vibrant? I don't know. I'm sure that, I will find something where my skill set, my experience will be valued, but I don't know. I'm scared. And being an introvert, it's a thing. It's huge. And I'm really, really freaking out. And I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I really don't know what I want to do for another job. Right now, the biggest concerns for me is I need to make sure that whatever I do, I have decent medical and dental insurance. I'm pretty sure that I can get a nice package, insurance package through my retirement. But so that really kind of, if that's a good avenue for me to go down as far as insurance, then then I don't have to worry about what kind of job. I mean, I can go work in a florist shop or wherever, not worry about whether or not I'm going to get good benefits because hopefully I'll get them through my retirement. But I haven't actually talked to the company that my retirement is through yet, and I haven't talked to HR yet. I haven't done anything except procrastinate. So I'm still trying to get through all of that. But that's my concern. First and foremost is insurance. Um, and assuming that I'm going to be able to get insurance through my retirement, then I don't know what I want to do. I know I don't want to do something nearly as um, intense or so much responsibility put on me for other lives. I know I want something a little more laid back, maybe something where I don't have to deal with customer service or dealing with other people's problems. I know that it's something I can do, and if I ever need to, I can fall back. I can go get a dispatcher job anywhere else. I'm still certified. I still have all of that going for me. I have the experience behind me. I'm sure I can get a dispatcher job, but I don't want to start over at another agency at the bottom of the barrel with all this experience at this age. I don't know, but I do know that if I need to, it's there. So I don't know. Do I want to go from, I got the whole range of things from working in a florist shop or getting some receptionist job. Really, what I want, honestly, is a data entry job. I just want to walk in, go to a room, even a little cubby, give me a desk. I don't even need a window. Just give me a desk, stack of paperwork and a computer, and just let me enter stuff all day long. No phones. Don't come in and tell me anything. Just here's your stack of paperwork and get to it. Leave me alone. I'll get it done. That would be a dream for me. It would be even better if I could do that from home. Sometimes I think about that. Should I get an at-home, work from home kind of job? But then I think, I don't know. Am I that motivated? Am I that self-motivated to be able to say, oh, let's leave the comfortable bed and go type for a little while? I don't know. That might be difficult. So I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. And I am very troubled by this because I can't seem to get myself to sit down and think about it because I'm terrified. So I don't know. But that's coming up. It's going to be a huge milestone. That's one of the reasons why I haven't podcast for a month, because that's one of the big milestones of my life that's coming up. Another one just passed. My youngest son just graduated from high school. He's already talking about moving out sometime towards the end of summer before he goes to school. He's planning on going to a community college and get a few hours in I think it's called applied fire science. He was wanting at some point in the near future to go into firefighting, but he wants to have some education under his belt before he goes. So he's planning on going to community college, but he wants to move in with his girlfriend of 2 years, and I don't know how I feel about that. She's a wonderful girl, super sweet, but I don't understand why kids just want to move out, just get away and put themselves in debt, and I don't know. And I understand there is a part of me that does know, because I did it too, and all kids want to do this. But there's that mom part of me that's like, no, stay home forever. Not really. I don't think I can handle him staying home forever. You're like, leave me alone. So I don't know. There was that milestone, and I was a big sobbing mess for a couple of weeks. I haven't felt the urge to cry as much as I did before his actual graduation ceremony, but up until that point, that's all I did. Everything made me cry. So with those two things just looming over me, graduation and retirement, I was just a mess. I couldn't think about anything. I did a lot of knitting and other stuff that I'll get to in a little bit, but I was like, I'm not going to podcast. I don't want to record myself because I'm pretty sure my eyes are puffy and I'm sniffly, and I just wasn't emotionally feeling it. So yeah, that's really been the big reason why I haven't podcast for a month, but I figure I need to get over it, because I enjoy podcasting. I enjoy doing a lot of things that I haven't been doing this past month. So I need to get back at it. I don't want to find myself spiraling into a depression. I was really, really terrified of that because I was crying all the time and I really didn't want it to continue into a downward thing and let it take hold, because it could have been very, very easy for me to do that. But thank God for my sister and for my kids. You know, my two older ones have been really comforting to me. They're like, you're fine, it's okay. My youngest still doesn't quite get the fact that he's the last one and I don't have anybody else to fuss over. So it's hard for me to let go of being that fussy mom. You know, where are you going? What are you doing? When are you gonna come home? And oh my gosh, and don't go into the big bad world. I'm really not as terrified as I make it seem, but I can't help it because I just want to hold on to my last little chicklet. I just want him to stay. It's empty nest syndrome, totally. But he doesn't get it. He's just like, okay, well, calm down. You didn't freak out with Joshua and Santana. Why are you freaking out with me? And I'm like, I don't know. But I'm trying to get past it. So I really am trying to get myself step by step, just keep going, keep moving, keep doing things. And so I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I need a podcast. I need to do it because I really enjoy it. I miss you all. And so here I am. So yeah, I'm going to be thinking about retiring soon. I just don't know. I got a lot of things. I haven't even started to look at what may be available in any kind of way at all. I haven't even started, but that's mostly because I do have several weeks before I'm even eligible. And there's no point in me. It feels like there's no point in me really looking too hard right now because I'm not going to give a 2-week notice until sometime in August. And as a matter of fact, I think that I'm probably going to stay at least till September, just because I have a concert to go to at the end of August. And it would be silly of me to plan on going to Dallas because I'm going to go watch Avi again. I love Avi Kaplan. So I want to go see his concert. He's doing a tour now. I think I might have mentioned this the last time, but I'm going in August to Dallas to see him. And it would be silly of me to go get a job and then be like, oh, and just so you know, I'm leaving for a few days because I got to go to Dallas. So more than likely it's going to be after the concert sometime. So probably early to mid-September that I'll really think seriously about looking for another job. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know what to do with myself when I grow up. I haven't thought about it yet. I don't know. So many changes. They're just all happening all at once. So what I did during this time in between crying, and seriously, I was crying over everything. I was crying over chocolate commercials and looking at my cat and realizing how old she is sometimes. And she's been losing a little bit of weight. She's a lot thinner and her belly is a little bit saggier than it used to be. And she's almost 16 years old, so she's old. But I'm seeing it in her weight. She's lost a little bit of weight. Not anything that needs to be like a big concern, but I'm seeing it. You know, she's grouchy. She's getting so grouchy. So, you know, all these little things, I cry for everything. My cat's getting old, and that little girl was eating chocolate with her mom, and it was adorable. So I've been crying for everything. So when I'm not crying, I've been knitting. And so, speaking of Avi Kaplan, he had come out with a couple of songs before he came out with one song before the concert that I went to in Nashville. That was called Change on the Rise. So I was so inspired by his song. As I think I've told you, I made 5 patterns before that were based on his previous EP. 5 different songs from his previous EP that I had designed patterns that were inspired by his songs. So I did that again, he came out with a song called Change on the Rise for this new round of music that he's releasing. I'm hoping there's going to be an EP or even a DVD soon. I can't wait. Actually, I'm really hoping for not a DVD, a CD. Because even though I listen to him mostly on Spotify or on YouTube, because I love the videos, they're so beautiful. I would love to have something tangible in my hands, the CD, you know. So hopefully that'll happen. But anyway, so the song, the first song was Change on the Rise, and it's this was inspired by the lyrics as well as an element within the video. There was a lot of flames and fire, and there's one particular scene that has them lighting torches. The song is basically, you know, about, you know, something good is going to happen. There's a change coming. You know, it's very uplifting, very powerful, very moving. It's, I heard somebody had described the song as, it makes you want to get up and do something with yourself. You know, it's that kind of motivating, powerful song. But there's a couple of scenes in the video that have them around a big bonfire, and they all grab these big torches, and they put them into the fire, and they light their torches, and they walk through this dark forest, and they're, you know, moving through as if they're going to go meet this change head on. You know, they're going to go. And it was just so powerful to me, and I wanted something to reflect that. So I decided to come up with a beanie, and I went through, I have 2 stitch dictionaries from Barbara G. Walker. I've got the first and second treasuries, and I can't remember if it's the first or the second, but it's blue. I know it has a blue cover. I don't have it here with me. I keep looking to see if I see it, but it's not anywhere near me at the moment. But it's from the blue one. And so I came up with a beanie that is mostly reverse stockinette, but it's got this detail here, and I did have to modify it a little from the Stitch Dictionary, because the Stitch Dictionary had these here, and I think that they're supposed to be like flower buds, but they had them kind of, you know, going up like this, but then there was like another set that went up on either side, and they just kept going in like an all over type of pattern. So I did have to modify it so that I can get just the one section. And I think they were supposed to be like tulips or flower buds or something, but I thought they looked like torches. So, you know, you've got the long handle of the torch, and then you've got the flame on top. So I'm like, perfect. And I like that they got higher in the center, you know, as the depicting the song Change on the Rise. So that's where I went with that. I did what was it, a 2x2 rib on the bottom, but I did change that up so that it was a knit 1 purl 3 to fit in along with the what I'm calling torches. It's a very close to the head beanie. It's DK weight. This is Knit Picks Gloss DK. This is the colorway Velveteen, which is, I think I showed it before, but it's like a dusky rose mauve color. But anyway, so this is a very close to the head kind of beanie. And I did kind of like a scrunched up decreases on the top. Not anything fancy. It's just, like I said, it's oh, that's nice. It just totally messed up my bangs. But really close to the head, covers the ears, and I love it. I love this gloss DK. It was really easy to work with. It's very soft. I think the gloss DK has cashmere. Not positive. But I loved it. Super happy with it. So I made the beanie. And then I thought, this color does not, well, that's not doing anything for my bangs. Whoa. This color doesn't really, even though you can really see on the solid color the texture detail, this color does not say flames or fire or torches. So I thought I'd do it in another color. And I think I showed you a while back I think this was February's. I get the Indie Untangled Where We Knit subscription. And I think this was February's installment. It was DK. I don't have the cake with me. But it was Life in the Long Grass is the yarn dyer. And the colorway was called Night on the Town. So I thought I'm going to make that in that because those colors just made me think of fire and cozy warmth. So I did another version or another beanie. Same pattern, same everything, except it's in this variegated, it's purples, and my lighting is not doing it justice right now, but you know, it's got more flame-like colors to it. So you can see this is reverse stockinette. I can show you the inside, which is just stockinette, and I think this colorway also looks pretty in there. But anyway, that's not the point. So I wanted to really make this in this colorway because of the color just reminds me of fire, and I thought it would go really well with the idea of torches. It doesn't, the stitch detail doesn't show up as much in the variegated color, but it still looks really cool and I love it. Oh, this was, I can't remember. I'm going to have to put it here, but I can't remember the needle size that I used. But I am writing this pattern up. I don't know when that's going to be done all the way. Did I get it on right? Or is it too far to one side? I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. So there's that. And so the detail isn't quite as defined because of the colors, but it's still a cute little hat. It just fits really close to the head. Nothing fancy, but it makes me feel good because it's got the torches and it makes me think of that song, and it's just such a powerful song to me. And I was very, very much inspired by Avi Kaplan's song. So I got those two done. That's something that I worked on. I have all my notes written and scribbles and whatever on different pieces of note paper. I just have to type it up and take some good photographs and get all of that put together, and maybe I can get that published. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to do that. I'm feeling kind of just lost at the moment as far as getting things typed up because like I said, I don't have a computer. I've mentioned it in the past, I don't have internet or a computer here at home. The only internet I have is whatever I get off of my cell phone. So typing it up means that I need to do it either at work or at the library. I can do it at work on downtime. However, I've had a trainee ever since, I think this is my third trainee that I've had back to back since last October. So there isn't really any downtime being a trainer, having a trainee at my side. So I'm not able to do anything at work, and I've just been so unmotivated to go a whole lot of places. So I just haven't really been wanting to, I'll go to the library to get another book or another movie or something, but I haven't really wanted to just go and sit and type at a computer at the library. So as soon as I can get the motivation to go do that, I will. At some point, I know I'm going to have to get internet because this is just ridiculous, but I haven't convinced myself that I want to add that another bill to my life right now. I've been doing fine without internet, but we'll see. Hopefully I can get this done sometime before the fall so we can have a nice change on the rise beanie out. And that yarn, this Velveteen colorway by Knit Picks DK Gloss, I did use, and I think I showed you the beginnings of this. This was another design that I started at the end of April. I had just barely started it, but I finished it. So this is my DK weight shawl. This was not inspired by anything to do with Avi. It just so happened that I was using the same yarn as the beanie. So again, a DK weight shawl this is biased or asymmetrical, starting at one point and ending in the long end. And it's garter stitch, and then it's got this pretty mesh detail here. I am calling this my Tamis shawl. I don't know how it's pronounced. I know that it is a French word for like a sieve or a sifter. And I'm calling it that because this looks like a sieve. It's got all the holes for a sifter. And the reason why I'm calling it that is because at the time I came up with this, I was talking to somebody about beignets, how I'd never had a beignet, and I saw pictures of them, looked it all up, and you know, they're all covered in powdered sugar. And there was a picture of somebody with a little duster, the little sieve, sprinkling powdered sugar over these beignets, and I'm like, oh, that could be a little sieve. And then I was like, well, what's the Spanish word? What's the Spanish? Because I'm Hispanic. So the first thing my mind thought was, what's the Spanish word for sieve? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I was thinking about beignets. That's French. So then I thought, well, what's the French word for sieve? I know. The things that go through my mind. It's crazy. But that's what I came up with. So this is Tamis, French word for sieve. All because I was thinking about how I had never had beignets before. So anyway, that's what I came up with. And I'm gonna start another version of this. I've written it so that it can be made in any weight yarn, on any needle size according to that yarn. So that was the DK version. And I had started a sport weight version with some yarn that I showed you a while back that I had over dyed. I believe I showed you all these little balls that were one colorway, but I had gotten food coloring because for some reason the one skein had so many breaks in it that I made all these little balls, and I thought I'm gonna play with my food coloring and dye these all up. I'm sorry, I wish my lighting wasn't so awful tonight, but I am recording in the evening as opposed to most of the time when I record in the morning, and I've got a little bit of good sunlight coming in. But anyway, so I had dyed all these random sized balls. I over dyed them in food coloring, and I was like, well, I want to use all of these in that shawl. So I was going to do the garter section, striping each of these in sort of like as much of a gradient as I can get them to go in. Striping that with a solid sort of, I over dyed it with black, but it was originally a turquoise. So it kind of looks like a really deep teal. I had a full skein of this. So I was going to stripe garter, two color garter stripe with these colors, and then put up the lace panel, the sieve panel, in this black color, which is also an over dye. This was like a mossy, weird green color, and I over dyed it in black. So that was my plan, but I had started going along with it, but the turquoise one that I thought I had a full skein of, which I did, but it was broken. I knew I was going to have several ends to tuck in with this, that shawl, because of all of the different mini balls that I have. That was going to be something like 20, 22 different ends. That one ball had so many breaks in it, I had only gotten less than 2 feet up far on that shawl, and I was already at 16 different ends to tie in because there was so many breaks in the yarn. Like, not full breaks, like it wasn't knotted or anything. It wasn't like that. It was like super thin spots that there was no way that was ever going to hold. So I would have to cut it and put it back, you know, continue on with it. And then I have all these ends I'd have to, and there was already 16 and I was only that far into the shawl. And I kept going thinking, it's got to stop. It's got to end at some point. This can't be the entire thing. And no, I just kept getting more and more breaks in this yarn. Really, really thin spots that you just barely got to pull on it and it breaks. So finally I got so pissed off, yanked it off the needles, threw the work in progress away, decided I was going to keep all of these because they're pretty. All of these that I dyed, and I was going to keep them. I'm going to find something like a glass jar or something and just put them on display because they're pretty, but I'm not going to knit with them because I was just pissed off at the yarn. And I ended up, I kept some of this because it was also, I'm going to put this in the jar too, but the main ball of that one and the black one, I ended up giving to a friend and fully told them there's probably going to be tons of breaks. Are you sure you want this? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. I can use it for making stuffed animals or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So she fully knows that this yarn, it possibly has a lot more super thin spots in it, but that's fine. She can have it. I'm done. Took it out of my Ravelry stash page. I was like, I'm so pissed off right now. So I took it apart and been searching for some other sport weight yarn to do a sport weight version of my Tamis shawl. But in the meantime, I started reading this book again, On Luna Time by Amber Crawley. So I thought, oh yeah, I have the yarn that came with this book. If you remember, it was a book box. So I got the book, a bunch of little goodies related to the book that, you know, I told you, you know, you got to go to a certain, when you get to a certain page, it'll tell you which goodie to open and all that. But of course I was impatient and I opened all the goodies before I even got halfway through the first chapter. So anyway, so all the goodies are gone, but I do have the yarn, and this is yellow, and the yellow on the cover. And then I had told you I had these other, and these were also dyed by her, by the way, Amber Crawley at Maker's Haven. And this was the Yellow Dresses colorway, and Yellow Dresses is a reference to something in that book, the on Luna Time. But I remembered that I had these yarns that I had bought from Chemknits Creations on Etsy, and you know, that totally also goes with the colorways in the book. There's the yellows, there's the greens and the blues. So I thought I can use that for the fingering weight version of my Tamis shawl. Totally gonna do this. So I'm thinking this is gonna be the garter section and this is gonna be the lace panels. Super excited to start that. Haven't quite started it yet. I want to finish a couple of other things that I got going, but that's my next thing to start. Super excited about that. I'm still trying to decide on a sport weight set of colors for a sport weight version of the Tamis shawl. My friend, I gave her a copy of it so that she can test knit it for me, and she's going to be doing it in a worsted weight. I even went ahead and let her pick some yarn from my stash so that she can use, so she didn't have to buy any yarn for it. So that's one thing that I've been working on, was that shawl. And again, I have most of it written up. It just needs the finer details, photographs and all kinds of stuff like that done before I can actually publish it. So that might be, again, sometime in the early fall. So there was that. Those are my 3 finished objects. Future knitting project with the yellow and green blue yarns. So let's talk about what I am currently working on. I have yet another design in the works. This is also based on an Avi Kaplan song. This particular song is called The Other Side. And it's such a hauntingly beautiful, soft song. Almost the exact opposite in feel and tone to Change on the Rise. Change on the Rise was very powerful and forward moving and very uplifting in a gritty but motivational kind of way. The Other Side is more soft and almost like, okay, I have come to the other side from this place, and it's like the journey, like there's like maybe not already gotten to the other side, but more like I'm about to go to from point A to point B, the other side being in the middle. You know, they're kind of flowing from one place to another, whether it's emotional, spiritual, physical, anything. I guess you can interpret it to be whatever you want. But oh God, another beautiful song, and a beautiful video. And he does make reference to specific colors within the video or within the song lyrics. He talks about emerald green. He talks about ruby, ruby reds, and silver. I didn't want to go with the color, a color palette from that, because the ruby and the emerald I thought would look Christmassy. And I didn't want it to be that, even though I knew I would know that's not what it's about. I didn't want it to look Christmassy, if that makes any sense. So I went with the silver aspect of it, and I used gray. So I had mentioned a while back that I bought tons of Bijou Basin Ranch 100% yak sport weight yarn, and I had done using the cream color. I had made the Hulda Bear shawl, and I love that yarn. I love it so much. So I had a bunch in a dark gray and in a medium gray. So I chose those two colors. This is the lighter medium gray, and this is the darker gray. So what I decided to do was do it more as a concept as opposed to trying to make, you know, like I did the video of the other one. It was like, oh, there's torches in the video, I'm gonna put torches in my hat. This is more the concept of flowing from one place to the other side. So the way I decided to go about that is to make a 2-color rectangular shawl. And so it's basically gonna start, okay, I am all kinds of tangled right now. I don't even know why. Hold on. So basically what I'm doing is, this is all stockinette except for this detail in the other color. And so they're a specific width apart, the stripes are, and then at a certain point they're slightly closer together. And that's going to continue on until I get to the center, and then it's going to go backward with the colors inverted. So it'll be, instead of light with a dark accent, it'll be dark with the light accent on the other side of the shawl. So it'll feel, I'm hoping that it'll feel like there's a crossover at some point. You know, making it feel like you're going to the other side. So that's what I'm doing with this, and I went with the silvery color, as silvery as I can get from my stash, and so I went with this gray. But I'm very excited about it. It's gonna, at this point, I think it's gonna be about 20 inches from the neck down the back, and I'm hoping it's gonna be about 80 inches long, if I did my math right. We shall see. But I'm loving working on this. It's stockinette with a seed stitch border. And this detail here is only 2 rows. It only takes up 2 rows, and it's very, very easily memorized. So really all you got to do is pay attention to when the spaces in between change sizes. Other than that, it's very simple, not a whole lot of thinking involved, very meditative, because I find that that particular song is conducive to a meditation. If you listen to it and just close your eyes, it just brings such calmness and peacefulness, and it makes me feel like listening to like I'm listening to a meditation. I don't know, I listen to these a lot on YouTube. Helps me sleep at night. I listen to oh my god, I think the channel is called Jason Stevenson with a PH instead of a V. I believe that's what it is. But he does guided meditation. They're on it's YouTube, so it's called a video, but really there's not a whole lot to see because you put them on and you close your eyes and you listen to it as he's guiding you through this meditation. And I listen to them to try to go to sleep, to kind of get out of my brain and shut things off for a little while, especially now that I've been going through all of these different milestones and changes, and there's a lot of worries and stuff going on in my brain. I find it very hard to shut my thoughts off. And so knowing that I am very prone to anxiety, and anxiety can lead to depression for me, I have to get out of my head. And so I started listening to these meditation videos before bed. So I'm listening, and they're guided. So, you know, he talks about, okay, now you're moving through a forest, and now you're walking down a path, and you're doing this and you're doing that. And he's talking in this really calming voice. And also along the way, he gives some, depending on what the video, he's got a lot of videos. Some of them are for anxiety. Some of them are for getting a deep sleep. Some of them are for getting rid of stress. Different themes, some of them are. And wow, I just did Yoda. Different themes, some of them are. Okay. Anyway, you get the idea. These videos are very calming, very relaxing, and they help me, you know, find calmness and peace. And that's exactly what that song, The Other Side, does for me. I find it's just so soothing, and it's just he has a very different style of music. I would say he's in an indie folk kind of genre, but it's very different than anything that I've ever heard. It's just his words mean something. I'm sure they all mean something personally to him, but they are so empowering. And so I'm sorry, I could go on and on and on about how wonderful Avi Kaplan's music is as far as uplifting your spirits and stuff like that. And he did admit at one point that he also suffers with anxiety and depression, and he's writing these songs for himself, but he thought he's going to share that, bring that light to someone else. So, and it does, it really feels meditative. So I wanted the shawl that I'm designing for that song to feel meditative, almost like a prayer shawl. It's just so relaxing to knit. It's so intuitive that it's not quite mindless, because you do got to think about a few things here and there, but it's not difficult thinking. And you just go along and you make this long shawl, and before you know it, you've gone from one end to the other, and there you go. So that's what my concept, my whole idea for this shawl is. And I'm working through this one slowly. I've already basically got it written on scraps. Again, I haven't typed anything up, but I'm not looking at anything right now because I already have the stitch pattern memorized. It's so easy. It's already just flowing. So I just got to get it typed up. And right now I'm focusing on yardage so that I can put that in the design and everything. So that's one thing that I've been working on. And again, I've been trying to just stay out of my head. So when I'm trying to stay out of one part of my head, this whole other barrage of thoughts keeps happening. So I came up with, you know, a couple of designs. I think that's 3. And I think there's a couple of others that I kind of have a concept for, but I haven't really fleshed those out at all. But May has definitely been a creative month for me, mostly because I was trying to stay out of my emotions or I was trying to work through my emotions. Excuse me. So the other thing I did was I joined a mini skein swap through, I just totally lost her name. I'm not going to try too hard. I will put it up here, but it's Adelaide Cottage. I want to say Shayna, but that feels way wrong, so I'm not sure. Anyway, I will put it up here. I know I got it wrong. I'm sorry. I love you, but I can't remember right now. But it's Adelaide Cottage. On her podcast, she talked about doing, instead of doing an advent calendar of mini skeins this year, instead of dyeing those up, she decided to host a mini skein swap. So I signed up for that, and I got all excited. I went through my stash and I was trying to find yarns that would work together as far as color and as far as the type of yarn, you know, texture and all of that kind of stuff. So I was just having a blast going through all my mini skeins to get those ready to send out whenever it's time to actually do the swap, and, you know, gathering all the little goodies that I'm going to put in there and everything. So it's been really exciting. But as I was going through my stash and winding up my 10 grams of minis, my 10 gram minis, I was just so like, oh, I like this, and oh, I like this, and I forgot I had that, and oh my god. So I got a whole bunch of them set aside for myself as well. This isn't quite the same palette that I have. Some of the colors are what I'm sending in the mini skein swap, but some of these are a little bit different, mostly because some of the yarns that ended up in the mini skein swap were like the last bit of those yarns. There's just no more. I don't have any more of those. So I had to kind of throw in other colors into my set. But I did make myself, I didn't make them into minis, but these are the yarns that I'm going to be using. I'm not going to show you everything, but whatever. You get the idea. There's 25 different colors. And what I did was I found this pattern on Ravelry called Calico Quilt Shawl. And this is by Melanie Mailinger. I think that's how it's pronounced. Very cool concept. It's a modular triangular shawl, and it uses about 10 grams of fingering weight for each color, and it's super cool. I'm super excited about it. It's going to look kind of like a patchwork blanket. It's supposed to look homemade. It's supposed to be, you know, just all over the place. So you just pick whatever colors, and I try to make them all seem relevant to one another, but that's not all of them are working. I think this first row does look kind of cohesive, but I don't know what the next rows are going to do. Anyway, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm on the 9th color. So this darkish color here will be the last color of the top row. Then I'll start doing the next section in the triangle. You're making all of these triangles, and it's modular, so they kind of go in different directions. Like this triangle went this way, and then this triangle came down here, and then I went back up here, and it's very fun. It's very easy. I don't want to give too much away because it is a paid-for pattern, but it's modular, super cute. And I'm just using up all of these minis, and I find myself, I can't stop. I just started this a couple days ago, and the pattern is written so that it could be done as an advent pattern, you know, day 1, day 2, that kind of thing. But I've been trying to do 2 colors, or two mini triangles a day so that I can get it done quicker. I'm already falling behind. I'm a day behind on my own schedule, but that's fine. I'm still enjoying it, and it's already feeling light and drapey and super cool. I just love her construction of this. The pattern is just so interesting. The way that has you pick up stitches and her decreases and how everything goes. This one here, I'm very surprised because in the cakes they looked very different. The two colors that I have here, there's actually a line here, but they you can only tell that they're different because this has a lot more purple and orange, and where this one just kind of stays in the pinks. But from far away, it almost looks like it's just one big parallelogram. As opposed to the other ones, you can see the distinct change, which is very funny because those two yarns looked very different in the cakes. Anyway, sidetracked. But it's already, I'm not even done with the last of the top row, and it's already at my wingspan. So this is going to be big. I was super excited. It's become a potato chip knitting kind of thing. I just wanted one more triangle. I'm really enjoying it, and I've kind of put I put the other side shawl to the side because I've been making this. It's just super intuitive. Once you get going, you're like, I got it. But it's really fun. I'm glad I found this. I didn't know anything about it, and then I kind of stumbled upon it when I was looking for fingering weight shawls. I think I put the search filter on Ravelry as fingering weight. I think I did. I think I put in Advent. I can't remember if I put Advent or if I put Mini or if I put both. Honestly, I don't remember what it is, but somehow I stumbled across this pattern I'd never seen before. Because, you know, there's the Mini, a whole bunch of stuff. When you put in Mini or Advent, you get a lot of the Amba O'Brien patterns and a couple of other specifically Advent things, or specifically Mini things like the cozy memory blanket and stuff like that. So this one was very different than those, and I was just like, oh, I love this. I must have it. And I got started immediately. I was super, super excited. So yay. That's one of the things that I've been working on, and super excited about that. Then I have been watching Jana at the Purl Together podcast. She mentioned she does knit along projects from time to time, and I hadn't been really joining in because I do my own thing, and sometimes keeping up with the knit along is a little too stressful. I feel like keeping up is difficult, and then I get anxiety over it. So I don't really do a whole lot of knit alongs anymore because I was never able to keep up. I never finish on time. And I know that you don't have to. Nobody's going to come and arrest me because I didn't finish at the same time everybody else did or whatever. But I don't usually get involved in knit along projects anymore because of that. It's my own kind of weirdness, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to put myself to that torture. But I saw the pattern on this, and I did look at it, and I was very excited about it. It's called the Cozy Winter Shawl, and this one is by Samantha Troya, and it's a Aran weight. And I thought, well, I could do Aran weight. That's a fat yarn, and I can do it on fat needles, and it can get done rather quickly. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I decided to use this yarn I showed before. It's the Let Lopey. I think it's Istec. And this is the Milky Way colorway. And this was, I've never tried Let Lopey before, and it's very rustic. If you're sensitive to yarns at all, as far as itchy or scratchy, don't get this because it is itchy and scratchy. I think it's tolerable for me, but if you're very sensitive, don't get this for anything that's going to be right up close to you. This is going to be for an Aran weight shawl. It uses 5 of these. So it is going to be up close to my neck because it's not really going to be so huge that I can always wear it over my shoulders. It's going to be right up here, kind of draped around. So this is it. This is it so far, and I'm loving this pattern. Way to go, Jana, for picking a beautiful pattern. You totally sucked me right into knit-alongs again. So, oh, it's so pretty. Even looking at it from a distance on the screen right now, I am so in love. And it looks kind of like a periwinkle blue, but really up close, it's like a pale blue speckled with darker blues, purples, and some pinks. And I was worried that this was going to look like, what do you call it? Funfetti cake. Like it was just going to look sprinkly, childish kind of. But looking at it knit up, it is gorgeous. It is a beautiful periwinkle color that I think can be considered, I think it can be used as a neutral. I can probably wear this with a lot of things because I thought it was going to knit up all kinds of wild, and I was like, well, I thought it was pretty, but I don't know. I'm loving it. And the stitch definition in this yarn, the yarn, I don't know if you can see, has a lot of fuzz to it. So you see there's a lot of cables. You've got this smaller cable here. This is a little bit bigger. These ones are 5 by 5. So you're crossing 5 stitches over 5 stitches. This yarn is so rustic and so hairy, and it sticks to itself that I can do a 5 by 5 cable without a cable needle because those stitches are not going anywhere. If I were to do it in, like, say, a fingering weight with nylon, there was no way that I do anything more than a 3 by 3 cable in that kind of yarn because it's slippery and the yarn, the stitches are just going to run all over the place if I don't use a cable needle. So super that's the backside. Why am I showing you that? Super excited with how this yarn is knitting up in this pattern. I'm very excited. Sorry, somebody is calling me and I don't know who that is and I don't want to talk to anybody. Decline. So that's another thing that I'm working on. I'm through, there's 3 charts. I've already done chart A and chart B, and then you have to repeat chart C several times. So I'm about to start chart C for the first time. I just haven't gotten to it. This, excuse me. Whoa, Nelly. This amount hasn't even, the first 2 charts hasn't even used up 1 ball. Or 1 skein, and I've got 4 more. I'm assuming it's going to use up the whole 5 according to what it said as far as yardage in the pattern notes. So I still got quite a ways to go on this, but it's when I'm working on it, it goes rather quickly, and I'm super excited. I'm loving how it's coming out. Very, very excited. So that's kind of what I've been doing. The other day when I told you I finally got pissed off and I got rid of that sport weight yarn and pulled it all out and blah, blah, blah. Well, that kind of gave me a chance because I was at work when I did it. It was on my lunch break and I was like, ugh, the heck. So I threw it out and I was sitting there, oh, I don't have nothing to knit. And then I thought, yes, I do. I do have yarn in my car just sitting there. Excuse me, I just got an itch in my throat like... like, holy mackerel, allergies, stop it. So this isn't a knitting project, but I did show this to you a while back. I had ordered a set of minis from Sheepies. It's the Katona cotton, and it was a set of 109 glorious minis. I love it. And I got it off of the website. And so I've been crocheting. I've just been doing half doubles, rather large, just crocheting. So it's pretty wide. Oh, almost knocked my lamp over. And I'm just it's very wrinkled because it's been shoved in my bag, but whenever I come to the end of a color, no matter where it is in the row, as you can see very distinctly right here, whenever I end a color, I just slap another one on and keep going, knit over the, crochet over the ends as I go so that I don't have to go tuck in 200 some ends later. I'm using a size G hook, and this is one of the ones that I had made personalized and made for me, gosh, 20 some years ago, 23 years ago. I love this. The little hummingbird, the little flowers. It's got my name on there. I love this. It's not the best to crochet with because the opening of the hook is kind of shallow. I don't know, it's not going to focus. But the opening of the hook is kind of shallow, so sometimes if I'm going really fast, I don't snag the yarn like I should. So I got to kind of slow it down and be a little more mindful of what I'm doing, but I do love this hook. And again, it was 20 plus years ago, and I don't remember the company that I got it from, and they're no longer in business as far as I know. I'm keeping it in a DPN holder so that I don't snap it off, snap the tip off. But I've been working on that. I worked on that quite a bit actually after I ripped out that other shawl because I was so angry with it. But thank goodness there was cotton yarn in my car just waiting to be worked with. Yay for emergency yarn. Woo! So I worked on that a little bit. The last time I showed this, I was down here where this marker is. So I've actually gotten quite a bit done-ish. I mean, it's been several months, but this is just one of those, I'll get it done when I get it done, and mindless, just keep my hands busy kind of project. So I did work on that for a little bit. What else? What else? I think that's all as far as knitting. I do have one acquisition that I want to talk about. I got this yarn off of, I believe it's called McKaylee Crafts. It's an Etsy shop. I've been following her on Instagram. I knew of her because one of my friends that I used to go to knitting group with followed her. I didn't realize that this person was actually somebody here in Albuquerque. I had no clue. But I started following her. She would post different things. She does stitch markers and yarn. But I was super excited when I decided to go look at her Etsy shop finally and realized that she's local. And I was like, yes, that's so cool. So I went ahead and I ordered a skein of yarn. And this doesn't really have a colorway name. Super pretty though. This is like corally pink, pretty red, comes all the way around. You got a little more of that pink. This here is like a dark deep burgundy, and then you've got this plum color, a lighter version of it, and then a little bit darker. So pretty. I haven't taken it out of the skein, or like untwisted the skein, so I'm gonna do that because this is beautiful. Oh, I love it. It's so pretty. Love it. It looks more orangey right now because of my lighting than it really is. It is more on the corally pinky side than orange, but and the red is red. The burgundy is burgundy and the purple is purple. It just, my lighting is just terrible. So it's not coming across on screen as it should, but oh, it's beautiful. So I know that I want to make a pair of socks out of this. And I found one of the minis that I had ordered ages and ages ago when I was trying to come up with the yarns for another project. And I found one of these minis. It was from Yarn to You, and I had found that on Etsy, and she's out of Czech Republic. This doesn't have a particular colorway name. It came in a set of minis. Excuse me. And so this is kind of a yellowy, it's, again, my color, my lighting in here is terrible, but it's yellowy. These darker bits are like a deep purple. It's got the same bright pinks and coral colors. A little bit of orange in there, a little bit of yellow. But I think it's going to go really well with this as heels and toes and cuffs, depending on how much, if I have enough. But I think it'll go really well. It'll be interesting with the bold variegation of this and then the light speckle of this as contrast. So I think it'll be really cool. So I've already set that aside and earmarked that for vanilla socks at some point in the future. So there's that. I do want to talk, I did mention that I started reading On Luna Time again. I think I mentioned back in April that I had finished The Bell Tower by Sarah Rain and that I was going to read the next in that ghost story series. Well, come to find out, no more in that series, and I do know that she has another series, and I don't know if it's ghost stories or what kind of series it is, but the same author does have another, I think it's 3 or 4 books in another type of series. I haven't started reading those yet, but I do have them set aside for some time in the future. So I decided to go back to this book and finish it. And then now in June, I wanted to restart reading this early. For the Delicious Death group on Ravelry, we were reading the Agatha Christie book, Mrs. McGinty's Dead. I could not find that book anywhere without having to actually buy it. I did find on my library uses Overdrive as one of its audiobook resources, so I did find that on there, but it wasn't like the unabridged narrated book. It was an abridged dramatized version of the book, so it was shortened by quite a bit, and it had all these different voices playing the different characters instead of, you know, one person being all the voices. So it was cool, but I feel like I missed out on a lot of the finer points, the more obscure details that Agatha Christie tends to put in her books, because it was a dramatized version and it was very, very condensed, being abridged. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I wish I could have found the actual book somewhere without having to buy it. I'm not really looking to buy books and add more to my already overly crowded bookshelves. So that was a little bit of a bummer. But now coming up in June, I'm going to be hosting that particular month for the read along, knit along, make along kind of thread for June. And the book we're reading in June is called The Clocks. So my library does have a large print copy of the actual book. Very excited about that, so that I can get all those finer details. However, I found someone on YouTube has put the audiobook, unabridged, narrated audiobook, not a dramatized version, but an audiobook on YouTube, so I can listen to it for free on YouTube. But I did read comments on that YouTube video that some people were upset because it cuts off towards the end, so you get like right to the brink of it and then you never find out who did it. So I haven't turned this book back into the library yet, so that when I get to that particular spot, and if you can see, I've got a bookmark in here. I'm not actually reading the book, but I'll finish at a certain chapter and then I'll come to this book and I'll mark it. And I'll be like, okay, this is where I am in the book. And sometimes I will sit down, like before bed, I'll read a couple of pages in this, and then I'll kind of adjust where I'm at on the audio version. So I'm doing this book kind of both, actually reading it and listening to it, and I'm keeping track of where I am on both to kind of do them in tandem. So that's kind of exciting. But I'm hosting that one, so I've got to really look and come up with some themes of some possible projects that people may want to do that are somehow in some way, shape, or form related to the story, whether it's a theme or it's an idea brought about by something a character said or did or wore or something. So I need to read it ahead of the rest of the group, so that I can have um, these ideas and be able to host this read along in June. So I'm doing that, working through that pretty good at a pretty good pace. Actually, it's a very interesting story so far, as I believe all Agatha Christie books are. She's just a very interesting writer, and a lot of her stories are very different. They're murder mysteries, but they tend to have like these different little nuances. There's different feels to each story. Some are darker, some are more comedic, some are have a lot of heavy political reference to them, stuff like that. So each one is just its own little nugget of fascinating. So this one is no different. I'm really thoroughly enjoying it. I'm very, very excited that I was able to find a copy of the actual book as well as an unabridged audio. It's kind of fun. I love it. So I don't ever seem to get tired of Agatha Christie. By the end of this year, I will have read all of those. So super exciting. I just watched a few episodes of the second season of The Crown. I know I'm a little bit behind on that, but I've been watching The Crown. I love that show. It's so good. I just watched another weird movie on Netflix. It was called Hold the Dark. There isn't any actors in it that I recognize. I've never heard the name. And it's described as a woman who seeks vengeance on some wolves. She lives in Alaska and her child was abducted by a wolf or a pack of wolves or something. And then it just turns into this big, dark, twisted mess. There's like, she's not the only one going through craziness from being up there. And yeah, it's an insanely twisted movie. I enjoyed it actually, even though, you know, I wouldn't say it's any kind of like profound or anything. It's obviously a B movie, but I actually kind of enjoyed it because it was just a little bit dark. It was a little bit twisted. It was very surprising. It's not what I thought it was going to be. The acting not that great, but the dialogue not so great, but it was actually an interesting show. I didn't feel at any point that, oh, I just need to turn this off because I can't bear it. But it was just weird. It was a weird movie. So it's called Hold the Dark, and I found that on Netflix. That's all that I have been watching. I'm trying to think. Somebody said that I need to watch, what is the name of that show? I can't think of the name of it, but I guess it's based on the Archie and Jughead comics. I can't think of the name of it, but somebody has told me there's 3 seasons of it and that it's really, really good and that I need to watch it because it's a little bit campy, and everybody knows I like a little bit of campy. So, so there's that. I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, so there's that. That's about all as far as my entertainment has been going. So yeah, I know I've been kind of all over the place, and this was a lot longer than I expected it to be. But I'm really glad that I got to come back and podcast because I really enjoy doing this. I really, really appreciate that. I do have, I think the last time I really looked at how many subscribers I had, it was 25, and now I'm up to 35. And I know that as compared to most other podcasts, that's like nothing. But for me, it's everything. I appreciate everybody who comes back and watches me, because I am scatterbrained and I am not by any means one of the more professional type podcasts. You know, I just kind of ramble on. I have an idea in my head of what I want to say, but not really good about taking notes or working from notes. I know that I kind of ramble on, and I know that the past few podcasts have been a little more personal, and not always happy, but I do appreciate you coming back and spending your time with me. I really like doing this, and I'm really glad that we get to spend this, so to speak, we get to spend this time together. And I hope that while you're watching me, you're knitting, crocheting, some other craft, whatever it is. But I'm glad that we get to spend this little bit of time together. I hope that the rest of your day or your evening or your morning or whatever it is that you're watching, that you're during the time that you're watching this, I hope that the rest of your time is pleasant and productive. I hope that you get to spend lots of quality time with friends and family, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Bye.